Hi again, I'm Carlos Tanner from the Ayahuasca Foundation. Thanks again for watching this video. This is episode 3 of a 10-part series, and hopefully we'll get into something that might be helpful for you. In the last episode we talked a little bit about the importance of interpretation of perception and how ayahuasca, by enhancing perceptive abilities but allowing us to use our current interpretive ability, combines to enable us to release our traumas and look at ourselves in a different way, and through the enhancement of our perceptive abilities, make the emotional aspect of that so real or even hyper real to replace our previous interpretations or self-perceptions. And so I want to go into that a little bit more, especially with regard to self-perception, because I think that's so important, and more specifically like self-love. And that was something that we touched upon in the last episode too, about how love is the highest vibration, and how by having love as your resonant frequency, you gain the most influence over whatever it is that you hope to change. In the case of healing, it would be the affliction or the condition that you hope to change. So I want to talk about that in this episode, and hopefully we'll get somewhere and tie it into how I learned that through this tradition. So the most incredible aspect of ayahuasca is, of course, the spiritual nature of it. When I was in my second ceremony, I had a spirit come to me that was a friend of mine that I had known when I was growing up, who had died, and he put his hand on my shoulder. I felt it. Someone else in the ceremony called out to me and said that they could see him too, and it was just such an incredibly real experience. In fact, it just was real. That was certainly my interpretation, and I can't think of anything that might change that interpretation. I shook hands with him, I spoke with him, we communicated in such a manner that was, so real. And that set the tone for me to really lay a foundation in this tradition as a healer, because that's a core philosophy or belief structure within this tradition. But it has some real implications across the board, and the deeper you go in, the more those implications start to have an impact on your life, and specifically your self-perception, because you are a spirit also. I am a spirit. Everything is a spirit. In the tradition, the plants are spirits, the animals are spirits, and these spirits are not finite in their lineage, you could say. Like they go on forever. Our spirits last. Our bodies may break down, but our spirits continue. And that's the experience I had just in my second ceremony, was meeting and communicating with the spirit, fully intact conscious being that just didn't have the physical element of their existence anymore, the body. And that was so fascinating to me. But I think what is more helpful for me was how that related to my understanding of what I am, or who I am, which is a spirit. I'm a spirit first and foremost. And that is why when someone dies and their body is there, you don't consider the body them anymore. They, the way we speak, they are not there anymore. And their life isn't there because their spirit isn't there. And the cool thing about spirit is that it's perfect. Like spirit, it's just, it's like a cell of the body of God. That's what I like to use as a description of it. I mean, it's just a piece of, sparkling light that combines to create the universe. It's just the most amazing thing, and you are that most amazing thing. And all of this crap that's happening in our lives that gets us down or makes us happier, like creates all these waves and stuff, that happens in this kind of dream that our spirit has. Like we were born into a body, and then we go through this like play, we like act out this play for a while, and then the curtains close, and the play's over, and then we're back to being a spirit again, and we're no longer the character, that we were playing. And that obviously is a way of interpreting it. That's how I'm choosing to describe it. In fact, that's, I think, maybe the first time that I've gone with the play, but I like it. And it's really helpful because so many times we get so caught up looking at ourselves in the mirror and thinking that's who we are. And what ayahuasca allows us to do is to see the truth of who we are, to see beyond the body, and that's who we really are. And we know that. We all know that we are not our bodies, but we certainly forget it, and we get caught up with it. And I think the greatest tool for me understanding my own self and how to achieve self-love started with understanding that I am a spirit, that I am made of this crazy energy. And this crazy energy, I say crazy, I don't mean that we're crazy. I just mean unfathomable, it's just mind-boggling. And yet that's what we're made of, is this energy with consciousness. We have thought in ourselves. In every piece of energy that makes us is also thought. In fact, the thought that we're made of is the same as the thoughts that we have. And that starts opening up some really cool doors. The thoughts that we're made of is the thoughts that we have. So we have the potential to make ourself, because we are made of consciousness. This energy is made of consciousness. Now, I know that might be a stretch, and a lot of us, the conditioning is oh no, we have a brain, and our brain thinks. But I definitely encourage you to do a little bit of research, especially about people that have suffered from water on the brain. I think it's called neural encephalitis. Some of those people have less than 5% of their brains and are very intelligent people, and yet they do not have a brain. Just throwing that out there. But what I really want to talk about is how we can understand our true nature and how that can inspire us to love ourselves. Not because we want to, but because we can't help it. It's like if you go into a forest and you look at all the trees and the plants, they're all perfect. And yeah, they're bent in different ways, and maybe one of them fell on another one, and all of these things, for whatever reason, their leaves aren't the way that, their leaves aren't symmetrical, or whatever you want to find if you analyze them or observe them closely, but they're all exactly the way that you want them to be. And the forest is a great example of life itself, at least for me. I've spent a lot of time in the Amazon rainforest, and I'm always looking at it and admiring it, and it's so gorgeous. And we are also gorgeous. We're a part of the forest. Maybe not necessarily the forest, but we're a part of this natural organism, just like the forest. We're a part of the earth. We're cells in the body of the earth, and the earth is a cell in the body of the universe. And it's so awesome. It's so awesome that we get to be that. We are that. And I think that, to me, laid the foundation for self-love. And so now I want to talk a little bit about how self-love then, that was kind of going macro. Now maybe we can go a little bit micro with our own afflictions in our lives and in our bodies, and how love can affect that. So I'd like to promote someone's book without getting paid for it or anything, but it was such a monumental book for me. It's written by Leonard Laskow, and the book is called Healing with Love. He also has a second book called Forgiving Love. I highly recommend that you read those books. I'll try to put a link in the description below so you can easily find them. They're absolutely amazing. And if by any chance Leonard Laskow watches this video, thank you so much for your contributions to humanity, because you're such an amazing person. Their books are incredible. They definitely changed my life, and they made sense of a part of the tradition that I was working with when I discovered that first book, Healing with Love. And so he actually maps out this really beautiful way to work with love in a healing modality. The first step is to be informed, to understand what's going on, just to have the right information so that you know what you're dealing with, so that you know what you want to change. And that's an important part. We don't always know what's going on, so try your best to become informed, to inform yourself about what's happening. Now the next part is the key. That's conform. So you have an affliction and you understand what it is and you understand that you want to change it. So how do you change it? Well, the first step would be loving it. Now that can be really challenging. You're going to love your cancer, you're going to love your diabetes, you're going to love whatever it is this affliction is. And let's just go through it. I'll come back to that concept about how it might be easier to do that. By loving it, you resonate with it. You create the highest chance for resonance. And so by resonating with it, then you gain the most influence over it. Now, I like to use a reference about people. So let's imagine that you love someone and then you want them to change. How likely are they to change? Because you love them, I would say the most likely. Now let's say you hate them and you want them to change. How likely are they to change? Because you hate them, probably the least likely to change. So right there you can kind of see that, like, by loving something you gain the most influence over it because it gives them the desire and the impotence to change. So let's say we love our affliction. Now our consciousness is so powerful. We're so truly powerful with what we can do with our interpretation and our perception and our literal ability to act upon the world with our mind. And so from here, Laskow says, you would then unform the affliction. And so he kind of references quantum physics in the particle wave theory. So we send it from the singular particle into the infinite wave, back into the wave of possibilities, the realm of infinite possibilities. And then from there, the last step is to reform. And the reform process is actually not done by us. We just kind of let it go to God or to the universal motivating principle that forms, and it will form it back the way that it is intended to be. So those are inform, conform, unform, reform. And that's a really wonderful way of describing what is oftentimes the experience of healing in an ayahuasca ceremony or through the use of plant medicine. Because love becomes a central part of it. So how do we come to love something that causes us suffering? That's a challenging concept. So for this one, I like to use analogies, of course, as you probably noticed already. And the analogy that I want to use for this one is actually the engine light in your car. So when you're driving and you notice the engine light comes on, do you hate the engine light? Probably not. You're probably grateful for it, because the engine light is giving you a chance to know that something's wrong under the hood and that you need to get in there and find out what that is before you have a breakdown, before you're stuck on the side of the road, or maybe the car dies completely. So our body, the vehicle that we're possessing, our spirit is driving, also has engine lights. And the engine lights come on in the form of afflictions. They come on in the form of problems, expressions of more deeper problems under the hood. And so we can be thankful for them. We can be like, oh, thank you so much for showing me that I need to get deeper in there and figure out what's going on. A lot of times we know that something is going on, but it's not bothering us enough to pay attention to it or to do something about it. But the engine light, that is a wake up. That's like, hey, you better do something soon. And a lot of times those are in the form of afflictions. And once you heal an affliction, because you get to the root of it, because you get to the core of it, then you can actually be thankful that the expression of it, or the engine light, so to speak, happened. Because the engine light is usually telling you about a more serious problem, meaning the symptoms are usually signifying that there's something more serious going on. And the symptoms become very secondary to the core issue. And so hopefully maybe like thinking about it that way, if you do have some things, symptoms, problems that are causing suffering for you, then you can look at them positively, almost with gratitude, that they're enabling you to maybe make you look deeper at what's really going on, so that you can address it and so that you can deal with it before it's too late. Now obviously understanding how to deal with it is also a challenge, and for me ayahuasca was certainly helpful for that. But I don't, I want to present as much as I can. I don't know if I'm going to be able to heal all of you, but I think that by creating the optimal environment for healing to take place, a lot of that happens on a level that doesn't actually involve plant medicine. It's a consciousness level. It's things that we can do in our self-perception, in the way that we view the world. And so that's what I'm hoping to maybe cultivate for you, is your own inner environment, so that if you do plant seeds of medicine into that soil, they will grow and blossom and produce fruit and achieve healing for you. That's another concept that has come through for me, the idea of inner environment, and hopefully I'll talk about that in future episodes as well. So with that concept in mind, the healing itself is not something that you do. It's not even something that the medicine does. It's not even something that a doctor does. It's something that is just ingrained to happen. And that's what my experience was, witnessing over 1,000 people receive healing. That healing was like ready to happen, wanting to happen. Every organism has this desire, this universal motivating principle to achieve health and harmony and happiness. But obstacles get in the way. And so what medicine really is doing is removing obstacles, is cleansing. And that's what the doctors are doing. I mean plant doctors. I don't mean Western doctors. I think that Western doctors, for the most part, have a wonderful intention. But a lot of times they're not so much cleansing as they're fighting. And a lot of times the fighting is more polluting than it is cleansing. And their concept sometimes can be looked at in the terms of the engine light, that you go into a doctor's office with your engine light on and they say, oh, I can fix that, and they take the bulb of the engine light out and they're like, yeah, you're good. This is definitely, the plant medicine and the Amazonian tradition is definitely different from that. So if we just keep our afflictions clean, if we keep our wounds clean, they will heal. Just like when you have a cut, you don't heal it. Nobody heals it. It heals. It will naturally heal, provided there's no obstacles to its healing. So that's why you cleanse it. You just keep it clean. If it's a deep wound, you change the dressings. You keep it clean, and that the healing principle naturally carries out its destiny to achieve health and harmony. And so that's what the tradition in the Amazon is too, cleansing. So you cleanse your physical system, you cleanse your emotional system, cleanse your mental system, you cleanse your spiritual systems. And in doing so, you'll make this wonderful environment the perfect optimal inner environment for the healing to take place on its own, as it is meant to do. So I want to talk a little bit more about that in the next episode, as well as the concept of cultivating your inner environment, nourishing your soil, so that when you plant things in that soil, they receive the best nutrients and give the best chance to grow and to blossom. These are some concepts that I've learned from my experiences in the Amazon rainforest, and hopefully I'll be able to share them in some sort of progression that makes sense. We'll see. So again, thank you so much for watching this video. If you want to like and subscribe, that would be cool. And if you want to check out our website, ayahuascafoundation.org, that would be awesome. You can see the retreats and courses that we offer and where we're located. And if you have any questions, definitely you can email me or contact me through the website, or leave a comment down below. I'll try my best to address all those comments. Or even if you just want to share something, I'd love to hear from you. All right, thanks so much again for watching this video. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I hope that you watch the next one too. Okay, bye-bye.